Is the United States in a recession right now? Are we going into a recession? Well, if you ask me, we're not getting there. We're not going there. We are there. We are right now in a freight recession. I want you to take a look at your business, your trucking business, your freight brokerage business, and I want you to compare the revenue, the profit margins this year to last year this time, the year before, January to May, just those time periods. What you are very likely to see is your profit margins, your revenue has decreased substantially. And the reason for that is because you haven't been getting the opportunities that you were getting in previous years. You're not moving as much freight. You're not handling as much freight if you are a freight broker. Why is that? Because freight has been impacted by the recession that we're in. Now, what has caused the recession? We're going to talk about that. Quite a few things, but there's one thing that stands out that's causing, I believe, the biggest issue with freight rates right now, the freight recession that we're in. But let's talk about some preliminary things. For example, low freight volumes. We've had low freight volumes for the entire year. We're 6 months into the year almost now, 5 months into the year, and we're experiencing low freight volumes. Check out the tender rejections. What tender rejections are is when carriers reject tenders. When those rejection rates are at a higher rate, they're rejecting that rate because there's higher freight, higher paying freight on the spot market. Well, tender rejections are very low right now. I think it's about 2.8%, and that's really low. And the reason why they're not rejecting tenders is because those contract rates are a little bit better than going out on the spot market. As a matter of fact, the spot market is really suffering right now. If you take a look at the spot market and compare it to last year, March of 2023 compared to March of 2022, there were 70% less postings on load boards. So imagine that. A lot of small carriers depend heavily on load boards, and now there's 70% less postings there than there were this time last year. So we have a serious problem with freight volume. Carriers are having serious problems obtaining freight opportunities. So are freight brokers. And let's talk about one of the biggest reasons why that is. Trucking capacity. You've heard me say this before. I'm going to say it again. When we have a supply and demand issue in the freight industry, we have a problem. Now we have a supply issue. We have too many trucks and not enough demand, not enough freight movement, and that is impacting freight rates, driving freight rates down as a matter of fact. Now take a look at the screen. What you'll notice is this chart represents the new carriers that come into this trucking market on an annual basis, and what it shows is about 5,000 to 8,000 carriers come in on an annual basis. Every now and again it ticks up to about 10,000. But I want to direct your attention to 2022. Here it shows that over 20,000 carriers came in 2022 alone. So we've gone from 5,000 to 8,000 per year, and in 2022, 20,000, over 20,000 came into the industry. And this is a problem because it gives us an oversupply in trucks and drives down freight rates. So the recession, the correction that we are in right now is a good thing. And the reason why I say it's a good thing, because there's some good in it. Now, there's some bad in it. We don't like to see people out of work. We don't like to see people go out of business, but that's a part of the world that we live in. And sometimes it's very necessary. Like right now, over 20,000 new carriers in 2023 alone. And it's not just the carriers, freight brokers as well are coming in at big numbers. The reason for that is because we had a great few years, right? Freight was moving very well, particularly after the pandemic. Things were great, and then bam, everything started to slow down. Just an abrupt slowdown. And now you have all these people out here that have gone out and gotten all of this equipment, assumed all of this debt, and now their businesses aren't making money. So businesses are going to go out of business. That is for certain. That's a good thing, because then it minimizes, it lessens the people that are competing for the same dollars. There won't be as many freight brokers. There won't be as many carriers, and that is a good thing. So it's up to you, it's up to me to survive this time and get to the other side, because there certainly will be, I believe, a big reward for those that survive. Anytime you have a downturn, after that downturn, usually it's a big uptick, right? So you have to position yourself to survive the storm. One of the things that I think is really important now is downsizing, getting rid of things that you don't need, taking a look at the shippers that you're currently working with and trying to get more freight from those shippers if you're a freight broker. If you are a carrier, relationships, that's going to be really important during this time, keeping the customers that you have, right? And of course, that's about you being dependable, and it has to work out for you now. You have to take a look at the lanes that you're working and making sure that the lanes that you're working are profitable lanes. Don't be spending a whole lot of time, energy, and effort on things that don't make money, because right now in this time, you cannot afford to do that. Only the strong will survive. I think that we are going to see lots of carriers, lots of freight brokers that are going to go out of business during this time. And again, that's bad for those people, I would think, but it's good for the overall industry, because it, again, gives us less people to compete with. And anytime you are a freight broker, the last thing that you want to see is a surplus of trucks, in my opinion. That means freight rates go down, and my services are not as valuable to shippers when there are a lot of trucks in the market. If trucks are just easily accessible and anybody can get trucks, then my services are not as valuable. Your truck is not as valuable when there are so many more trucks than necessary in the market space. So we need this correction. I'm hoping that you survive this time that we're going to go through. I wish you the very best. Do your best to get to the other side. But if you happen not to get to the other side, guess what? Don't let this kill your desire to be a business owner. Maybe you need to regroup and try it again. Maybe you need to get out, exit this business, and go into something else. You have to make that decision. Do the best, what is best for you. So until the next time, this is what I wanted to share with you today. I certainly hope this information has been helpful. And for those of you who are interested in coming into the freight broker business, I'll leave a free link in the description. It's my 5-video series, and it's titled How the Load Movement Process Works. It will give you a chance to come into the office with me, and you can watch as I move loads, talk to shippers and carriers to give you a better understanding of how the business works, and then you can make a better decision on whether or not this is a business that you want to come into. So until the next time, I wish you the very best in your life and business. See you at the top, because the bottom is much too crowded.